What's good, you gorgeous people? Now, I love Chinese food, but unfortunately, Chinese food isn't one of the healthiest food choices. But hey, what's the use of knowing how to cook if you can't create some magic? And that's why in today's Chinese-inspired omelette, we're combining classic Chinese flavors with the goodness of high-protein egg. This is my super easy, super delicious stuffed China omelette. Now today's recipe is going to highlight the different uses, different textures and different flavors of different parts of the spring onion, a staple of Chinese cooking. So let's go over the ingredients for this super easy Chinese omelette. Omelettes, eggs. I'm going at 5 whole eggs here. Next coming to spring onions as I spoke about. Now different parts of it, the head, the neck and the body are used differently in Chinese cooking. So let's talk first about the neck. Personally, this is my favorite part of the spring onion. Starts off a lot of Chinese dishes for me. Next coming to the head of the spring onion, very similar to the average Indian onion that we use. Next coming to the body of the spring onion, primarily used as a garnish. In this case as well, we won't be cooking this too much. Next, optional ingredient, cabbage. Just to give a little bit of freshness and some extra fiber in that omelette. Just like the cabbage, next we've got carrots for the same reason, completely optional. Next, not so optional, ginger garlic paste because this is Chinese cooking. And Chinese cooking, the wet ingredients are going to be apple cider vinegar to give some amount of tang and soy sauce for that amazing saltiness. Now this particular omelette, like most BeerBiceps omelettes, begins with the stuffing. Now for this particular stuffing, you gotta understand the flavor profile that we're going for this Chinese omelette. Now this Chinese omelette is going to be flavored heavily with soy sauce. And to counter that heaviness, we need to stuff the omelette with something fresh, something that's got bite. So I'm going to start with taking the super hot wok, getting a bit of oil inside as I've done here, and begin the cooking process by cooking down some spring onion heads. This is going to give us sweetness and bite in the middle of that Chinese omelette. So go in with just a bit of salt to help the onions to start sweating. But remember, this wok is super hot. It's Chinese cooking we're talking about, so make sure you don't get them all burnt. Next, you can go in with the cabbage because cabbage takes slightly long to cook. And once again, just keep stir frying it. The only kind of human beings who don't like the color orange are the unhappy ones. And the ones who don't eat carrots are the unhealthy ones. And that's why I'm gonna go in with that bowl of carrot. Five minutes of stir frying and we can go in with our secret weapon, apple cider vinegar. Now what this does is that when you mix it with the crunch of the vegetables, it's gonna make that stuffing super crunchy, super tangy and super punchy. This stuffing is gonna serve as a supremely contrasting texture to that depth of umami from the omelette. But now, let's begin work on the omelette of course. 5 whole eggs, like how I'm taking here with the yolk. And of course, if you're one of those people who's wondering, damn, how's he using yolks? Aren't yolks bad for you? Make sure you watch my video on why egg yolks are one of the best and healthiest food items. So you've got to crack open 5 whole eggs and go in with just a little bit of salt. Go in with lesser than you normally put. Now keep in mind that we're going to be using soy sauce in this recipe and soy sauce is crazily salty, so you don't want to overdo it. Anyway, so once you've got the salt incorporated in the egg wash, make sure you beat the hell out of the egg wash. Whenever you're making omelettes, if you want fluffy omelettes, you gotta beat the hell out of it and incorporate a lot of air. So to begin work on the omelette, let's just go in with about a teaspoon of oil and start work on the necks of the spring onions. Spring onion necks, according to me, are super underrated. I start most of my Chinese dishes with these, and I feel like they give a very light, kind of spice, kind of sweet, kind of very uniqueness of Chinese flavor to these Chinese dishes. So I'm gonna let it lie in that oil for about 2 minutes, just let it sweat out, and that's when I'm gonna go in with my super dry ginger garlic paste. Now when you're working with ginger garlic paste, you gotta make sure that you stir fry it for at least 3 to 4 minutes. There's nothing worse than raw ginger garlic paste in your omelette. So make sure you stir fry it really well. Let all those flavors and all those aromas from the ginger and garlic spread all over your kitchen. And this is when you can kind of deglaze your pan with just a splash of soy sauce. Now, how much you put inside is completely your call, and to be honest, you gotta do this by trial and error. I put in about 1.5 to 2 tablespoons. So once your mixture is cooled down, you put it into your egg wash and then proceed to incorporate all those gorgeous Chinese flavors in that eggy mixture. You see how the color's changing? The more soy sauce you put, the browner it's gonna get. Remember, this is just a reference recipe. You gotta come up with your own recipe for this super special Chinese omelette. Next step, use that same non-stick pan that we used earlier. Go in with about a teaspoon of oil. You can go in with lesser if you want. I personally could afford the calories. So go in with that slightest splash of oil and proceed to pour in your egg wash into that hot non-stick pan, of course. Now when you're cooking with 5 eggs, you gotta remember that there's a lot of liquid we're talking about. So this is how I like cooking it. I like spreading the liquid to the sides of the pan and then using a spatula or a spoon to kind of just fold in the cooked part of the sides of the omelette. This helps in kind of cooking the omelette faster and makes it a little less runny. So after about 5 minutes on a medium flame, you'll see that the base of the omelette is super solid, and this is a great point to go in with that tangy, punchy stuffing that we made earlier. Now personally, how I like doing stuff is I like spreading it all over the omelette equally, because eventually we're gonna try rolling up the omelette. So this omelette will turn into a cute little egg spring roll. So once you see that there's just a little bit of runniness left in that omelette, you can start rolling it up into this cute little egg spring roll, as I call it. So make sure you roll it up like this, and remember, it's still not entirely cooked. So if you're one of those people who doesn't like runny omelettes, just let it sit on that pan for about 2 minutes. But if you like runny omelettes like I do, it's ready to be served up, baby. Serve it up just like you'd serve up a spring roll, because that's how I like doing things. So cut it up into these cubes like this, if you want to make it look a little bit fancy. And once it's cut up the way you want it to be cut up, you can garnish it with those fresh spring onion bodies. Now the reason I don't cook it is because I feel like these add a bit of relief to that overall heavy omelette. So you've got the contrasting textures of the omelette, of the stuffing, and of course of these fresh spring onions. Also, I like topping it with just a little bit of chili flakes and sesame seeds. This omelette is one of the best breakfast options you'll ever find, and most importantly, it incorporates Chinese flavors without being unhealthy. And if you think that soy sauce is a little high on sodium, life shouldn't always be about health or healthy food. Once in a while, you gotta give taste the importance. And in this case, the taste is big, the Chinese flavors are big, and you know what else is big? The oh yeah!